These upcoming actors pulled a real-life disappearing act when they decided to ghost the glitz and glamour of Hollywood life upon realizing how fast the industry can make or break them. I'm your host Michaela, let's jump right in. In the comments below, name one celebrity who you know that has disappeared from Hollywood. Taking our 10th spot is Cameron Diaz. After she broke out as Jim Carrey's romantic interest in The Mask, Cameron soared up Hollywood's rankings and reached it girl status. Through There's Something About Mary, she continued her steady force of success at the box office, tagging this with Shrek and Charlie's Angels, and took a rather respectable turn in the Being John Malkovich indie film. Yet in 2014, Cameron apparently went on hiatus following her starring in the film version of Annie. Her work in the critically acclaimed movie seemed to mark the moment when Cameron eventually moved on from hiatus to no return. In accordance with the Daily Mail, there were reports that Cameron disclosed to her best friend and fellow actress Selma Blair about her plans to retire from the industry and shift her focus to beginning a family with her husband Benji Madden. According to Selma, Cameron was completely over Hollywood and was serious about not stepping foot back into the spotlight. Nonetheless, once the news of Cameron's alleged retirement made press headlines, Selma expressed on Twitter how she was only kidding and inserted that Cameron wasn't retiring from anything. But as Selma alluded, Cameron has yet to be seen in anything since. As per People, Cameron's team refuses to confirm nor deny the reports, which obviously leaves the situation up in the air. But hey, maybe that's how she wants it. Let's just hope she comes back on her own terms. Taking our 9th spot is Meg Ryan. Meg was dubbed as the queen of romantic comedies through hits such as You've Got Mail, Sleepless in Seattle, and When Harry Met Sally. Meg was also a star in a burning Nicolas Cage feature drama called City of Angels. But once 2000 rolled around, Meg was at the forefront of intense tabloid shaming when reports surfaced that Meg was engaging in an affair with her Proof of Life co-star Russell Crowe. At the time, Russell was beginning to take over Hollywood because of his breakout part in Gladiator. Be that as it may, Meg proceeded to pick up irregular acting jobs, but her roles never quite amounted to what she was doing prior to the affair. And Meg held out for 8 whole years before she addressed the messy scandal during a 2008 InStyle interview. In accordance with the actress, the affair certainly took place, but only happened because her then husband, actor Dennis Quaid, was also allegedly serial cheating for years. Therefore, Meg described the occurrence to be liberating, despite it heavily affecting her public image. With the truth finally out, Meg did her best to bounce back, ironically starring in a film called The Women, where the plot revolved around a cheated on spouse. Unsurprisingly, fans were not in tune with the movie, and ever since, Meg ditched Hollywood life to relocate to New York, where she has since put her focus on her children and navigating her love life with her partner John Mellencamp. Taking our 8th spot is Amanda Bynes. Amanda was definitely one of Nickelodeon's biggest breakout stars and certainly one of the most promising young comedic actors of the 90s. Amanda stole the spotlight at a remarkably young age while starring in the network's variety series All That between 1994 to 2005. She eventually scored her own show, The Amanda Show, from 1999 to 2002. The combination of her manic energy and her natural comedic element attracted a hefty fan base, and despite her first films not being classics, she had plenty of potential under her belt. Then 2012 rolled around and things became quite odd quite quickly. Amanda's fall from grace started with an unexplainable series of hit and runs, characterized by unsettling tweets and strange behavior. By 2014, the saga came to a close due to mandatory hospitalization. In 2016, Amanda's representative went on record to state that the actress was not suffering from mental illnesses, as frequently speculated and reported, but rather that she was using substances that were affecting her behavior. Regardless, Amanda has since leveled out in more recent years and has stepped away from fame to live a low-key life studying design and fashion merchandising. Taking our 7th spot is Sean Connery. Sean first rose to fame in the 60s as the first James Bond. However, the prolific Scottish-born actor wasn't slowing down anytime soon, it seemed. In fact, Sean proceeded to continue his formidable box office streak through the majority of the 80s and 90s because of his additions to Indiana Jones, The Untouchables, Highlander, The Rock, and The Hunt for Red October. By the time the early 2000s arrived, Sean was still in his bag, successfully seeing results from many, but behind the lens, he made a series of mistakes that caused him to walk away from his life in Hollywood. While it's a fact that Sean retired after the results of The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, the reason wasn't revealed until years later, surprising the world when he stuck around to star in a movie which he hated to the point of physically fighting its director. In accordance with Entertainment Weekly, Sean made the decision to refuse incredible back-end dealers, The Matrix and Lord of the Rings. The results of both films would have issued an insane amount of monetary gain for Sean, but he once explained that because he didn't understand either movie, he turned them down. In fact, he further pushed to Don Murphy, director of League, that he was certain he figured this one out. Quote, "I got offered The Lord of the Rings and turned it down. I was offered The Matrix twice and I turned it down. I don't understand this movie, but I'll be damned if I'm gonna turn it down." Obviously, the scenario wasn't the most ideal for Sean, but on the bright side, he seems to be happily enjoying retirement. Taking our 6th spot is Joe Pesci. If you're from the 90s, chances are you know of Joe through at least one one of his highly successful roles, specifically as one of the main villains from Home Alone. Joe became an acting force to be reckoned with upon his collaborations with iconic director Martin Scorsese in classics like Casino, Goodfellas, and Raging Bull. Furthermore, Joe proved his worth through his strong leading performance in My Cousin Vinny. Joe had a career most actors dreamed of, but he didn't care much for the fame aspect and chose to leave in 1999. As per Complex, the details of Joe's premature retirement are muddy, mainly because he seemed to want to be a musician at first. Taking our 5th spot is Rene Russo. Rene only carries a few acting credits to her name, however, she still emerged from thin air and steadily planted herself as a steady inclusion to the scene, counting her essential additions to 90s movies like Ransom, Line of Fire, Tin Cup, Outbreak, and the spicy remake of The Thomas Crown Affair alongside Pierce Brosnan's. By 2000, Rene was becoming a lot less noticeable in Hollywood, and her roles went from inconsistent to completely dried out. Once wrapping for the 2005 productions of Yours, Mine, and Ours finalized, Rene vanished for 6 years. She didn't re-emerge in any works until Thor in 2011, in which she acted as Frigga, who was Chris Hemsworth's Viking goddess mom. After rumors flooded that Rene left Hollywood due to her bipolar disorder, the actress later addressed the issue in 2014 by explaining to Showbiz 411 that her mental illness was not the reason behind her big screen temporary leave. Rather, she needed a real break after acting since she was 9. Taking our 4th spot is Gene Hackman. As one of the best actors of the 60s, with his career stretching back to just about then, Gene worked on approximately 79 films, including classics such as Bonnie and Clyde, Crimson Tide, Superman, The French Connection, and Unforgiven, alongside a slew of additionals that have made it through the long run. One of Gene's most acclaimed performances came in 2001 when he starred in The Royal Tenenbaums, a film he was originally reluctant to do after he learned that its director, Wes Anderson, scripted that part just for him. Fans were shocked when Gene later moved on to star in the dull 2004 comedy Welcome to Mooseport as his last acting job. Despite Gene never making an official announcement of his retirement, he confirmed his completion during a 2008 interview. Taking our 3rd spot is Mike Myers. For a long time, Mike was apparently the king of comedy. He even claimed the blockbuster successor title due to the fame of the Austin Powers franchise and Wayne's World movies under his belt. After bagging Shrek, Mike seemed unstoppable, but then he wasn't. Because in came the 2008 film The Love Guru, which hit theaters in a rather unlikely way. The huge misstep in Mike's career was the result of a 13% Rotten Tomatoes rating, which stole his surefire hit at the box office brand. After the sign, Mike made small cameos in the 2010 Shrek movie and Inglourious Basterds before he disappeared from Hollywood. During a 2014 GQ interview, Mike recounted his New York escape, stating that The Love Guru had nothing to do with his decisions and that he was proud to star in it. He chalked his leave up to his remarriage and welcomed his 2 children alongside his 2nd wife. Taking our 2nd spot is Taylor Momsen. Taylor was once a cast member of Gossip Girl between 2007 to 2012, but has since changed her actress goals to become a hard-partying wild card. However, Taylor reportedly decided to quit Hollywood on her own accord while she was at the highest point of her career. Following her CW hit series exit back in 2011, Taylor shifted her talents to performing on stage as the Pretty Reckless's lead singer and rhythm guitarist. Moving into becoming a rock band member seems to have stuck with the former actress, as she once detailed to Entertainment Weekly in 2015 that, "I think when I quit everyone thought I was crazy, and now it's 3 number 1s later, so they were wrong." Taking our 1st spot is Lauryn Hill. Lauryn's impact on the industry is hard to exaggerate, as her solo album The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill broke records and branded itself into 90s culture. The million-copy seller earned numerous critical accolades alongside 5 Grammy Awards. Some of the album's songs were even incorporated into church choirs, including this with her work as a member of the Fugees, as well as her brief but loved roles in King of the Hill and Sister Act 2. Lauryn seemed ready to take over as a multimedia superstar by the beginning of the millennium. But this fell apart a few years down the road. Lauryn has since been branded as a flake, specifically because of her consistency in being late for her personal concerts, being unreliable with fans, and inconsistent with engagements. This has been generally called the typical Lauryn Hill thing, which used to mean, quote, move you to tears with her music, not cause you to rage tweet after getting ripped off. That's been today's WATN. Thanks for watching, friends.